Today we have a 2026 GMC Terrain. In this video, I'll talk about what this thing is, how I feel about the interior space, and what it's like to drive it. Do you know which segment of cars has the biggest sales figures in the US? Yeah, it's the segment of compact SUVs with more than 2.5 million units sold annually. I mean, we go out on the road and we see Escapes, RAV4s or CR-Vs everywhere. And GMC is not slipping on that segment as they only make trucks and SUVs, and for 2025 they released the third generation Terrain. So what's new? First of all, the styling. I'm not gonna lie, I've always liked the truck-inspired design of the Terrain as it made this thing stand out a little bit more. The third generation is no different with its rugged styling that doesn't look pretentious, so we're off to a good start. Second, the technical stuff. The third gen sits on GM's new VSS-S platform, which is their modular front-wheel drive architecture used in SUVs like a Chevy Equinox or a Traverse, and features a strut front suspension and a multilink setup in the back, combined with regular, non-adaptive dampers, so typical stuff we see in the segment. We only have one engine option in the Terrain at the moment, a 1.5-liter turbocharged four-cylinder, which makes 175 horsepower. However, the torque is different depending on whether you get a front-wheel drive model or an all-wheel drive. Front-wheel drive has 184 pound-feet, all-wheel drive has 203. Now, the torque isn't the only thing that differs those two models. A front-wheel drive Terrain gets a CVT, and in case of an all-wheel drive, we get an 8-speed automatic transmission, so I can already tell you, skip the front-wheel drive and get an all-wheel drive since it's only a $2,000 option and the driving experience is uncomparable. Okay, so let's quickly talk about pricing and trims. We have three variants of the Terrain. Base elevation, which starts at a little over $31,000, AT4 starting at around 40 grand, and the tested Denali, which costs you about $45,000 fully loaded. Now, before we talk what it's like to drive this thing on our favorite back road, let's take a look inside and talk about the interior space. Okay, so we're inside the new GMC Terrain. I think GM finally hired right people or paid more of their designers to design cabins because they no longer look like copy and paste across the lineup. Now we know that we sit in a Chevy, GMC or Cadillac, so good job guys. The styling of the new Terrain has a little bit of that rugged touch that GMC is going for, and the cabin overall is an aesthetically pleasing space, especially with the light colors that our tester has. The quality and fit and finish are pretty good, and I can risk the statement that the interior feels like an entry-level luxury product. Obviously, just like with most new GM products, we lost a lot of physical controls, but the good news is all the crucial features, including climate, still have dedicated buttons. Everything else is in this massive 15-inch infotainment screen because we need big screens these days. I must admit though, it works here with the design and from the usability perspective. The Google-based system has a nice clean interface and features Google applications such as Google Maps or Waze. On top of that, we get wireless Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, so I can say that it has everything we need from a new vehicle. Same with the digital cluster. It's fairly customizable. We can display a full-screen navigation map or driver assist information, as well as trip computer or other vehicle data, so again, no complaints here. Now, the usability. As expected from GMC, it's great. The door pockets offer a good amount of space, the center console is very practical with multi-tier storage, we get a dedicated spot for the phone with a wireless charger, and the trunk offers almost 30 cubic feet of space with the seats up, a little over 63 cubic feet after folding them down, so it's not as much as in a Honda CR-V or a Kia Sportage, but still pretty decent. The front seats have a lot of padding and are very comfortable, definitely more comfortable than I expected. They have a pretty wide range of adjustments, so you should be able to find a good driving position no matter what size you are. They're obviously heated and ventilated in the top Denali trim, and overall, like I said, they're a positive surprise. Now, moving to the back, the days of small compact SUVs are gone. The Terrain offers plenty of space for the passengers, the floor is flat, which people in the middle seat will appreciate, and the Denali trim gives us climate vents, heated outer seats, and 2 USB-C charging ports, so again, everything you need from your compact SUV. Well, that was the cabin of the new GMC Terrain, so let's get it on the road now and see how it drives. Okay, so we're behind the wheel of the new GMC Terrain. I'll say it right away, I've never been a fan of GM's compact SUVs, as nothing really stood out about them. We have cars like a Toyota RAV4 or a Honda CR-V that are reliable and fuel efficient, and then we have something like a Mazda CX-5 or a CX-50, which are more inspiring and fun to drive. But let's talk about driving dynamics of this new GMC Terrain. Guess what? We don't have a sport mode, and I already like that about this car. It doesn't pretend to be something that it isn't, but anyways, we can just floor it very quickly. Some hesitation from the engine and the transmission, so that already indicates that this is not meant to be driven dynamically. The 1.5 liter that powers our car has 175 horsepower, and with me alone in the car, it's fine. But if you have 4 passengers on board, stuff in the trunk, it's a hot day with over 90 degrees, well, this thing will struggle, and it does feel underpowered. It's also not the most refined unit on the market. Mazda does a better job with their turbo engines, even Ford does, not to mention Volkswagen with their 1.5 liter. This is weird. There's some weird hesitation when the car upshifts. There is a quick loss of power and torque. I don't know if it's the transmission or the engine, but even when we drive in one gear and try to accelerate in a linear fashion, there's gonna be some torque dips and some inconsistency from the engine, so it's a letdown. Also, the fuel economy isn't all that great. I've been averaging around 22 miles per gallon, which is comparable to my 2020 Volvo XC60 T5 all-wheel drive that has 250 horsepower. It's just not a right engine for this car. I wish GMC put the 2.0 turbo that previous generation had for a while. Maybe this will change, because this Denali trim trying to be an entry-level luxury product, it just doesn't work with this engine. But driving dynamics, we have lots of lean, lots of body roll, and I was saying in my last week's review of the Chevy Equinox EV that it was sucking the soul out of me. This does it even worse. It's not meant to be driven dynamically, but that's okay. You know what? I'd rather have a car that's comfortable, that's my daily, than be over-damped, overly stiff, and not comfortable. All right, let's just slow down, because there's no point of talking more about driving dynamics. As a daily, you'll be pretty happy with it. The ride quality is amazing. The suspension is very compliant over road bumps, even with the 20-inch rims that our tester has, so no complaints there. The cabin is pretty well isolated. We don't even get isolated or laminated side windows, but there isn't much road noise and wind noise coming inside, so yeah, the 1.5 is gonna drive okay on a daily basis around the town. You're gonna be happy, but then you wanna merge on a highway, and you're gonna miss some power. So yeah, I don't want to say that, you know, it's a deal breaker and you shouldn't get this car because of the engine, but the competition just does more, and I hope GMC hears that and they just put a more powerful motor. We have good technology, no Super Cruise, which is kind of surprising. I was hoping that the Denali trim would have the Super Cruise, because again, it's this entry-level luxury product. It doesn't have it, but it has adaptive cruise control, no lane centering, lane keeping assist is there, blind spot monitoring is there, so all the technology is there, works pretty well, but we don't have the full suite of driver assistance systems that GM offers across their brands. Anyways, that's all I wanted to say about the new GMC Terrain, so let's head into the final thoughts and summarize it. Okay, summing up the new GMC Terrain. Based on my experience with previous generation GM's compact SUVs, I didn't have many expectations from this thing, but it surprised me in a positive way. It has a well-made cabin, it's comfortable, quiet, the technology is modern and it works, and there's only one issue that I have with it, and it's the engine. It feels unrefined, underpowered, and unfuel efficient, so there's a lot of ons. I wish they kept the 2-liter turbo from the previous generation. But if they fix the powertrain issue, this is going to be a very compelling proposition. But for now, there are better choices. But if you're a die-hard GM guy, you're going to be happy with this. Anyways, if you have any questions, drop a comment. I'll be more than happy to answer them. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you all later.